Welcome back, everyone, to the Stay From Analyst Desk. The fastPay WildCats got their first win of MSI earlier today, ending Mad Lions' winning streak and keeping themselves in the game. And their eyes are now set on a miracle run, but every game is, of course, a must-win. That is the nature of a miracle run, and they are up versus PSG Talon, who can secure a spot in the Rumble stage by winning versus the WildCats. So let's set the stage, starting with rehashing Bwipo, the win of the WildCats versus the Mad Lions, which was, all things considered, quite comfortable.
Honestly, after the action in the bottom lane where Humanoid teleported down, lost his flash, from that point onwards, I feel like Serin was able to control the map, make sure everyone was comfortable, and players like HolyPhoenix managed to grab multiple kills in the skirmishes. You see here, for example, HolyPhoenix, I think, grabs a double kill, or maybe even a triple from all the action. So ultimately, thanks to all the gold they managed to get, and the fact that the lanes were much more stable than we had expected from coming in from, well, looking at Mad Lions' early games, it looked like a pretty comfortable win.
Yeah, and with like StarScreen finding some really pivotal moments in the top lane, they sort of had this composition where in the fights, if you're able to get the massive Fear Beyond Death, well, then you have the Kai'Sa ultimate. So once you got the first kill or two, you were really able to continue applying the pressure, and it led to them getting a really important win to keep their hopes alive.
Yeah, huge win, really. Now, that was a great start, but Ender, you wanted to take a look at some of the evidence we have out of the WildCats from the first round robin to make sure that there are some things that they can focus on this time around, namely their draft last time versus PSG Talon.
Yeah, well, going up against PSG, you know, we've seen like things like the Hecarim come into the past. We don't really care about those things. I think Payne was playing them, but for the WildCats in particular, like we've seen them now go for like Yone in the mid lane, and they've had some more off-meta things, which I don't think ended up working out perfectly well for them. We had like the very early roam into the bottom lane TP from Serin, and it basically blew this game up for them. And that's why I think the first matchup between WildCats and PSG is not telling the full story between these two teams. PSG was able to use their draft to be able to come away with a pretty decent, easy win after the early game mistake. So I think that if we just see the WildCats reset, not throw it all out the window at level 4, they have a much better shot.
I think playing together with a jungler is really important. Like, just playing a very stable, solid early game is going to give you the best chances coming into the mid and late game stages of the game, as is normal. I think that having crazy TPs and stuff like this is one of the reasons why the Mad Lions lost against the WildCats in the last game they played, right? Humanoid got punished quite a bit for this TP. Same thing with Serin in his Yone game, like, got punished so much for this early TP. So relying more on the jungler to do the early game work, especially if you're going to be drafting Volibear and Udyr, is going to be, I think, a little bit more consistent.
Yes, possibly. When we look at the WildCats domestically, they actually are monsters in the early game, but it's not because of CS leads, it's because they choose to fight everyone they see. And the issue with that, of course, is if you go up versus a team that is able to match you, which possibly PSG Talon can, that could be dangerous. But on the other hand, we also want to see them be proactive if that is what was working for them domestically.
Right, we want to see the smart fights. And I think the last time against PSG, it was not the smart early game fights. Their game earlier today against Mad Lions, Serin's roaming, using numbers advantage, these types of things, those were smart fights, and that's exactly what needs to continue for them to pick up a win and hopefully move on.
Yes, I was also really enamored with Farfetch and the interview that he gave to Laure, and he reminded us of something that is in fact very, very important. None of these players, except for HolyPhoenix, who had a Worlds appearance, have been to the international stage. Farfetch won with Fenerbahce in summer of 2020, the winter split rather, which is their spring split, but couldn't go to MSI because MSI did not happen. So the fact that they needed a bit more time to come online is completely acceptable in my book. But now you're up against it. You start 0-3, you now have that win, and now you need to beat PSG Talon Bwipo, a pivotal matchup in the mid lane. Maple up versus Serin. Serin, who almost single-handedly brought them into that game versus Mad Lions.
I think, honestly, it's going to be really important. Like, the mid lane matchup is super important because we saw Maple just come off a Zoe game where he's basically just farming up, playing the game slowly, punishing mistakes after mistake coming out from the enemy team. And I think that in this particular game, if Maple is able to just slowly farm up and punish mistakes, I think WildCats are going to have a really hard game.
Yeah, I think that this is definitely the matchup that we need to be watching because Maple has been so solid, so consistent for his team and for so long over in the PCS. So this is not a game where Serin's going to have an easy time going in the 1v1 in the mid lane. And we know that the WildCats look the best when he's able to get out of that mid lane, find roams around the map. This may be one where it's a little bit more up to Serin plus Ferret to get the job done.
Yes, indeed. We will see what happens in this matchup. Incredibly important for the TCL. If PSG win, they are in, and if the Wildcats lose, they are out. Our eyes are on the mid lane matchup for this game as PSG and Wildcats hit the rift.
Very much Sjokz and Bwipo loving the jungle knowledge today, mate. It's been really fun to hear. PSG Talon up to bat once again, though, Lyric, and looking to secure themselves a spot out of this group and into the Rumble stage. On the other side, though, it is, of course, going to have to be a number of wins strung together for the Wildcats.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, their upset win against Mad Lion showed that they definitely have it in them. One thing the analyst desk was talking about a lot was Serin being able to get out of lane. And I feel like one thing we saw in that game earlier was the fact that, you know, he was getting pushed in. He was giving up waves, losing gold, EXP, but he still valued, hey, if I can find the play, if I can find the kill, that is actually more important for our composition than, you know, me losing 6 CS.
Yeah, and again, I think StarScreen has continued to look good, especially in the early games. He's kind of the player that I feel like they do put some early game stock into, whereas generally they're, you know, playing more for the scaling, especially for, again, of course, HolyPhoenix, who had looked excellent in their win earlier in the day, and will look to repeat that success once more. So I kind of like the little dynamic that Wildcats have going on. Like a lot of teams here, they feel like they've started a little slow adjusting to all the changes in the metagame, and of course getting used to playing on the international stage again against teams that you only get to see once, maybe twice a year if you're lucky. So we'll see how it goes here. PSG certainly favored in this matchup, but there are no certainties in groups in MSI, as we've quickly learned.
Yeah, and I feel like one thing we're going to be looking at is especially comparing supports, right? Because I think Kaiwing's been having a really good performance. Kaiwing has been one of the standouts on this team for a long time, to where Farfetch was struggling. Farfetch was not having a good tournament, but that last game was his glow up. The first half wasn't so pretty, but eventually started hitting some amazing ultimates. And again, along with Serin, was one of the catalysts to set up HolyPhoenix for them to find that win. So I feel like looking at the dynamic of support, and then of course mid lane as the AD was hitting on, are kind of the two places my eyes are going to go with this specific matchup.
We'll see how it all shakes out. Karaoke also having a decent game on the Lilia. I was actually going to mention that in this game, but we didn't have time, so I'll say it here. Curious to see how the, like, you know, the Rumble, Morgana, Udyr jungle situation goes. Again, we often see those banned away, but if not, you can almost guarantee one of them will be first picked. And if there's any left up, they'll probably be taken on the other side. And it was funny that you said, you know, Lilia, the champion he played, he's very comfortable on, but isn't necessarily something that a lot of players are playing now because the other AP junglers feel so much more powerful. I think if the enemy is getting Udyr, and that's maybe a plan you want to go to, certainly Lilia Udyr is a matchup Karaoke will be very familiar with. So with both champions receiving some changes as well, I feel like that might be something that they continue to do, but I definitely don't think you can leave Morgana Rumble through. I think you have to have a very good plan to be letting those champions in.
Pastry, we are not going to see Morgana Rumble. I feel like enough teams have seen Morgana Rumble to where they know, hey, we're not going to leave this one open. And again, then we're starting to get to the pits of the jungle pool. I feel like Natalie's been a champion we've been seeing a lot of, and I wouldn't be surprised to see come out, especially from someone like River. He also does play a lot of Olaf as well. So there's definitely some options on both sides of the rift. And one thing me and you have been talking a lot over these past few days is what mid laners we can see. Because again, in solo queue, we've been seeing a ton of interesting things. We've been seeing Jayce flexed into the mid lane. We've already gotten the Kiana. We've already gotten the LeBlanc. And it feels like there's still some room to play around with into what can go into that mid lane. Even something like the Tristana, which you hit on earlier, I thought we'd be seeing way more of it in the mid lane at MSI, but so far it's only been one game.
Yep, just perks for Cloud9 side. Piloting that one to victory, thankfully the NA side, but they are playing tomorrow, so we're going to look at this game here. Wildcats up against PSG. The blue side for the Wildcats, they get that Thresh out of there. Kaiwing had enough hooks landing in the last game that I do believe that is a very respectful target ban.
Yeah, and you know, I like that the dynamic is different for PSG from last game, because last game PSG were on blue, so they were able to just throw out all those target bans, to where this game we're going to see, hey, are you going to ban out the Morgana? Are you going to ban out the Rumble? We both lean towards yes. I don't see why you wouldn't do it, but, you know, PSG maybe having the confidence. They are 3-1 right now compared to the fastPay Wildcats only being 1-3. Maybe try to reach into some deeper strategies or try to play against it. I'm not sure, but, you know, you always have options left open as actually, WildCats are banning Rumble on blue.
Ooh, banning champion like Rumble on blue always feels like a little one of those things where it's like, oh no, do they not play it?
They've already played it, Pastry. That's
Wait,
the thing
that's
that's even
true.
more confusing.
Wait a second. Renekton being banned alongside Senna on the PSG Talon side. It does feel like PSG Talon, by the way, for all their kind of light speed level gameplay we saw in the first half of the round robin for this group, they are slowing things down a little bit. It does feel like they know that you need to, get through these games, clutch these wins out, and make sure they get out into the Rumble stage. So it does feel like they may be playing a little bit safer than we might expect as Morgana gets banned. I believe Ferret's played that one too. So, interesting to see the blue side jungle bans go over. Maybe they just really want Udyr, so I'm guessing the third ban's going to be Udyr.
Well, you can see, and if that does happen, if PSG don't ban Udyr, that means, hey, you're getting what is, at least among teams, generally the consensus best jungle when these two are taken away. And if not, well, now we are both going into the dredges of our champion pools. We've been seeing things like the Volibear. We already hit on the Nidalee. There are still some options left open, but I feel like the go-to first pick here would be AD carries, as we've been talking about. The Varus has been left open, so that is something you could go towards, but the Kai'Sa also being there as well.
And I think it is going to be Kai'Sa, indeed it will. I like this first pick here out of WildCats, especially given HolyPhoenix's performance on it in their win earlier today. Whatever StarScreen is hovering, though, I like all those champs as well, so we want to consider some of those for the top lane. I'll take it, but it does look like a trade of ADs is on the cards, as Tristana seems like the next best option. Although we have seen, again, Aphelios as recently as last game from Doggo. We do have, maybe some junglers here that you want to pick up, given that quite a few have been banned already. I think you've mentioned this off air, but I'll say it for you now. Seen a lot of jungle plus bottom lane, right? In phase one, it's been kind of the typical draft strategy for just about every team, unless you really have some flexes working. So expecting, maybe the other AD, maybe a support that you're trying to deny away here for Kaiwing. But Volibear is the first pick here for PSG.
I'm interested to see where they'll go with AD, because Doggo seems much more comfortable on the Aphelios, the Jinx, but without the Thresh. I feel like making one of those work is a bit tougher. So will he go towards that Tristana, which he hovered? He can. Then maybe on the opposite side, the WildCats will try to take away something like the Nautilus. Goes very well with the Kai'Sa. You also have ways to disrupt that rocket jump as well.
They could have taken it there also for PSG if they wanted it, but going to take Tristana instead, which again can be flexed around. So I think is a pick you want to secure a little bit earlier than you might expect, even though your opponents have already shown their bot laner. So we'll see what WildCats answer back with there. It looks like Olaf is going to be the next in line here for Ferret, but we'll have to see. Yeah, it is going to be Olaf.
And honestly, I would have liked to see Nautilus here, but instead going to go back towards that Orianna. I think it makes a lot of sense with how Serin played on it earlier. Also just works well with the Olaf, right? Another champion that you can give a shield to, is a bit of a ball delivery system in a sense. And now we're going to see, do PSG answer mid here? Because the support pool is actually still wide open if you didn't want to and you wanted to go, hey, I'll just counter pick mid now. I'll take support on 4 after throwing out some bans because I get first choice. Then you save that counter pick up for Hanabi.
I was going to say, what if the secret is they already have their mid laner? Ooh. But I think without an AP jungler being likely here, it's probably not going to happen. So looks like it is just going to be bot plus jungle locked in for PSG. Not going to counter pick for Maple, confident in his champion pool, which is, I think, a well-placed confidence on their side, as we'll see what happens here in phase number 2 of bans. Definitely interesting to see Orianna drafted so early, but I think given how Serin played in it earlier today, it makes sense to just give him that comfort, especially up against an opponent like Maple. Alistar going to be the first phase 2 ban here. Yeah,
now we're going to start seeing WildCats ban out mid laners and PSG keep banning out supports. I do like that you hit on the Orianna because, right, blind picking Orianna is fine. There's really nothing that decimates Orianna in that mid lane matchup. Typically, people just handshake it, pick the victor, which sure, I think does have a bit more pressure against Orianna in the laning phase. You also do scale up quite well, but again, it's a handshake. It doesn't mean too much, but on the opposite end, WildCats are actually respecting more of the playmaking potential that can come out from that mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, Sylas, I think, just a good ban against Maple in general, just obscenely good on that champion. I think even though Sylas feels like he maybe doesn't fit into these mage matchups all that well, we've seen the opposite be true practically when they've been playing. So Rel going to be the other ban there, so 2 supports taken away from Farfetch. Zoe was the other call out I was going to make for Maple. Already played this matchup actually in his last game just moments ago. Doggo hovering the cat is wonderful, but I don't think that's going to be what is selected here. The other thing I'll say, apart from Victor, is something like Syndra, which is a pretty common one into Orianna. But Azir also a Maple special, and unsurprisingly, Maple has to have at least 1 game on Azir this tournament.
And Maple's Azir is very interesting because I was talking to Clement about this as well, and he says, you know, Maple plays these control mages a lot more like assassins. He's going to look to swoop and boop that backline. He's always going to go in.
Certainly is, and that was evident in their final as well. We'll see how aggressive Maple wants to get here, but it is going to be Gnar out for StarScreen. Taking it away from Hanabi, I really like. Also just keeping the comp very solid. They know they're going to be up against some 5v5 action at some point here, so I think WildCats going to lean more on wanting to play with the speed that PSG set in the last game they've shown and not play too aggressively. And Nautilus actually going all the way to 5th feels pretty good on the WildCats side. That's the support you typically wouldn't expect to get. Well, I guess it was maybe pre-counterpicked by them already, and I can't believe I talked about it earlier. I don't think we're going to get it, but the one champion we haven't seen that I would like to see is Yasuo. And this isn't our counterpick, so if there was ever a time for a Hanabi, it is going to be now, but I don't think they're going to play it.
I just got to preface for all the viewers. Pastry was talking about this literally 5 minutes ago to me that he wants to see this matchup, but we are going to get the Jayce. I do think the Jayce works well here, especially when you're going up against Olaf, right? Trying to throw out some more of that poke, playing from a range, bait out the Ragnarok to where then maybe Kaiwing can go and look for that engage.
All right, well, I guess, you know, Kiana, LeBlanc, Zed, that's been enough.
We're spoiled, Pastry. We're spoiled.
Certainly are. It's going to be Jayce instead for Hanabi. Feels practiced on already, right? Has calibrated the shock blasts, having played it, again, literally last game. So PSG looking for win number 4 here for the WildCats. It's going to have to be a long run throughout the day, but they could, of course, make it here. Feeling pretty good. I think, again, have some momentum, have a bit of wind in the sails after taking down Mad Lions. And this group could go from, again, very clear-cut to in complete disarray, depending on how the chips fall at the end of it all. But that's why we play it out. That's why these days are so fun. We're playing it. Finishing a whole group feels really nice because you get all the drama of, you know, who's going to get out, how many tiebreakers are we going to get, all in the span of 6 games of League of Legends.
And again, the great thing is that when you look at this group, the spread felt the most even. And sure, you know, things have kind of gone wonky. Pain's not really showing up. Mad Lions is having hiccups. You know, things are back and forth. But I think that's making this group even more exciting is that, hey, again, we're seeing, I'd say, strengths and flaws from all 4 of the teams in this group.
Yeah, I think starting to see some like distinct styles as well. Starting to see which players are having a good tournament. For PSG, it certainly has been Maple. He's going to be looking to take that signature Azir to battle up against Serin, who's once again on the Orianna. Again, definitely a group that PSG Talon would have come into today feeling pretty favored against everyone, but perhaps the Mad Lions, who they already lost to. But with Mad Lions losing today, perhaps PSG Talon look at that first place and say, you know what, that could be us getting out of this group with no issues at all. So what's going to happen here is the players will spread out across the Rift, and Serin and Maple will meet early here in mid lane.
And just for context, for people who don't know, you know, about Maple, this split, he played 12 games of Azir in the PCS. His next most played was at 2. So he was very much favoring this Azir pick. Gonna be nice to see him back on it. And I think these compositions are very interesting because you look at them both and you're like, okay, strong 5v5s on both sides, but they're very different. Because when you look at PSG, it's a lot about keeping the enemy at arm's length. You have very good zone control. Again, there's like a poke aspect there, but to me, it's about keeping PSG away. You're going to do very well contesting over mid-wave with the Azir soldiers as well as the accelerated shock blast from Jayce, to where for the WildCats, it's all about being able to get onto PSG. If they can get onto PSG, they will be in a good place. They do have the burst. They do have the damage to take these fights.
Yeah, definitely pretty similar, actually, to the way PSG were approaching their last game. Zoe more of that poke and using those bubbles to zone. Azir just kind of has a big sphere of influence he's trying to use to zone you out. So similar concept, even though the execution for the champions are different because, hey, they're different champions. Not too surprising. Invade, though, for WildCats is nice here very early onto the enemy blue buff.
Yeah, already trying to, I think, get their bot lane in a good position as well, right? Because when you do split the map like this, enemy bot lane has to pay respect. So Doggo and Kaiwing not going to be able to look for any aggressive trades because Ferret can be here at the drop of a hat.
All right, well, River, back over he goes. Oh, he's about to get some bad news. Unfortunately, the blue buff has already been stolen away. Ferret's even going to take the Gromp as well, and River going to careen straight down there. He's like, wait a second.
Yeah, we saw pings coming out. They know this is going on. Kaiwing.
Ferret, big chunk of help with the flash already, and now going to be the shutdown. It's a very fast first blood as River swoops in and says, thanks for the buff.
I really like the response coming out from PSG. They know that that play went down, and they start looking for it immediately.
Yeah, that was one of the hardest punishes you could possibly ask for, but unfortunately that invade goes from looking good to horrible for WildCats to kick off this game. Maybe, maybe it's thought out for River. He's like, you know what? I don't need to get the blue buff. You can do the blue buff for me. Although you do not get the golden XP from the camp, which feels pretty bad. As the jungler, still going to be happy to have things go that way. In fact, River's not even going to take anything else. Just going to go back and finish the rest of the camps after starting on red and getting a very quick first blood. Very, very speedy roam to mid lane, though, as Maple didn't even need to flash that one. Farfetch, so did, as he tried to get the lockdown onto Maple.
I really did like the play coming out from Farfetch there. Sure, it didn't work out. You were the one who ended up losing out, but again, they come into this game plan. You can see they wanted to play around HolyPhoenix once again by splitting the map. Again, it means Doggo and Kaiwing can't play aggressively. And then realizing, hey, our jungler went down, we're going to try to turn that pressure mid. As we see the replay, we know what went down. PSG knew that he was here, choking him out on both sides, instantly flashing over the walls, what River does. Kaiwing is here as well to land the stun, and I mean, you're a level 2 Olaf, you're in a 2v1, you're going down.
Yep, and indeed that's what happened. That's the first blood. Still there for PSG, up actually 600 gold, which is nice for the early game, given that we're 3.5 minutes into this game. River also going to go ahead and take the Scuttle Crab here, but Kaiwing and Doggo going to deny the other one. So no Scuttle Crabs for Olaf here. Feels pretty bad for Ferret, who's going to be a bit behind after getting killed so early.
Yeah, this is going to be a really rough game for him, especially when we think about that. He needs to be the one to really get WildCats' early game going, right? We have an Orianna in the mid lane, and Serin did show that no matter who is pressure, he is willing to roam and make plays on the map, but still, I don't feel like it's that easy, and especially once you're up against someone with the tenure and ability that Maple has, it's going to be even harder. And then it's like, okay, there's some pressure in top side. I'm going to slow down Pastry. We might have some shenanigans.
Going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. All right, actually, it's going to be fine. Just surprised as you are. Seeing these supports get aggressive. Ignites a plenty, although Kaiwing doesn't have his. Did use it already to kill the Olaf, as we've talked about a few times now. StarScreen in the top side, trying to keep Hanabi at bay as Ferret going for the revisit here, but a very different situation. 2 buffs and level 4 feels a lot better here than the initial invade, as Doggo is going to very respectfully rocket jump out, as they did see that Olaf was down there.
And it seems like WildCats bot lane is going to look for the reset now as they instantly started shoving in. Serin looking for the aggressive trades. Serin did also pick up the tier, so is going to have more sustain in this lane, going to be able to throw out a lot more of those QW combos, which is going to feel nice, kind of surviving this laning phase, but you know, Azir, Orianna, Azir will be able to get a bit of pressure. He also did take Comet, so, you know, an aggressive trading rune as compared to Phase Rush coming out from Serin, but it's not going to mean all that much.
Yeah, smart stuff for Serin to trade there after TPing back in, but Maple just gets a couple trades back and knows that he's TPing back anyway. So really just a trade of Summoners was expected there. If you're... Fun fact, in those kind of situations, always look to see how close they are to level 6, because if Serin was close to getting Shockwave, that's a very different situation, maybe trying to pressure Maple, but too early for that. Actually was just basically hit 5.
Farfetch.
So we're going to be A-okay, as 6 is almost on the table. So I'll conveniently parlay into that one, as there's a Shockwave, and the hook is going to miss as Maple finds a beautiful flash.
That flash was so clean, instantly on point when the animation starts to come out. And I'm glad that WildCats are showing us this play, because this is one of the dynamics of this mid lane matchup, I'm sorry, is the fact that once you hit level 6 and these ultimates come online, both Orianna and Azir do have playmaking ultimates and can set up for these very aggressive dueling junglers, as well as supports to start finding these ganks in mid lane.
And while for Orianna, it's really low commitment, right? You just put the ball near them and hit R, and typically you don't need the ultimate much earlier, so you can use it in lane for that kind of harassment, just a bit of pressure. Maple needs to commit way more, which he's willing to do. Not every Azir player will be quite as liberal with the usage of the ulti, but Maple's certainly not afraid to get in there and try and ult in somebody, as Doggo was getting some pressure onto HolyPhoenix, but nothing becoming of that particular 2v2, as River going to go ahead in the river and start the Drake.
And so far, we have had a bit more aggression from PSG than we did last game. Again, hasn't turned into too many kills, but still we've been seeing them try to make plays, them try to play off mistakes that they perceive the WildCats to be making. Going to turn this into an early Drake, but WildCats were posturing for the fight. There are 3 of them here. This would be a 3v3.
Oh, let's go. Hex punch over the wall. The 3v3 is going to begin as Farfetch maybe a little too keen. Olaf around the side is going to get in there, but River already got the first kill. It is going to be a trade back, though, and gold is going in the right place as HolyPhoenix collects some, but now the turn hit for Kaiwing. Flashes in, gets the stun. Doggo knows that the kills are ready to go. Kaiwing going to find the stun. That's going to be the kill with the explosion shot, but can he live through the rest of it? It's going to be the big one. HolyPhoenix with the ulti is Ferret. It's going to go down now. The reach up there is PSG. are going to get all 3.
Really nice play coming out from PSG's bot lane. I'm honestly surprised they were able to turn that one around. Initially, when you're trading jungle for support, you'd feel good about that trade as the Wildcats, but the Ragnarok times out. Kaiwing knows, hey, we can go and we have the base damages to outplay this, and Pastry keeps going.
All right, Farfetch back in there. We're going to try and make it happen. Shockwave is good, finds Maple, but Maple, no flash, does have his ulti though, but doesn't have E anymore to get out of there. Does buff the ulti through. Still the hook lands, flash in for Serin. That's going to be a kill as he takes down Maple.
Yep, might have to burn a flash, but still worth it for them to pick up that kill. Serin being a standout so far in this day. And again, overall, I feel like Farfetch in this game as well is putting up a better performance than we've seen in MSI thus far. So we see Wildcats now have pressure in the mid lane. They have their support up towards topside. This should be a relatively free Herald for them. But I guess they don't feel like it with the fact that Maple's already back up. But I feel like you did have tempo on the map, but Orianna wanting to go for that reset, no mana actually is what I missed. So Wildcats going to have to back off.
Yeah, unfortunate there, but out of resources, no TP to get back quickly, so it is just going to be PSG Talon taking control of this side of the map. Top side, Farfetch has snuck in. He's been everywhere. Hanabi didn't expect this one. Nautilus in your lane before he's level 6. Gonna be forced to flash there for Hanabi.
Yeah, that is absolutely insane coming out from Farfetch. I guess he doesn't necessarily need to be in bot lane right now, though we do see HolyPhoenix is paying a bit of respect. All of PSG is top side as well, other than their AD carry, so not too much gonna happen. They did get a summoner spell out from Hanabi. HolyPhoenix can't be dove here.
I mean, Doggo agrees with you, but he wish he didn't, you know? He wants to go in for that play, but instead it's just going to dissolve some of their pressure. So HolyPhoenix is A-OK for now. Thankfully, as we can see on the minimap, there is no one coming to this lane, so HolyPhoenix is safe, but PSG do seem to be ramping up the pressure. Almost feels like they're like temperature checking their opponents, and given that Wildcats are playing a little bit faster, I feel like PSG are rising to meet them, whereas in the last game against Pain were playing much more slow, much more solid, and PSG were happy to take that route as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, right? Because PSG in the last game, it's like, oh, Pain just want to play out these extended laning phase. Well, we feel like we're the better laning team. We're just going to go for that compared to now where it's like, hey, the Analyst just highlighted Wildcats just love to see hero, kill hero, as that's what they're going to do right now.
Doggo, he's fine. Tristana, a very good champion in this kind of situation. Able to rocket jump out very early. Again, cooldown's pretty long, but not really much sort of a dive here. Just going to be the Rift Herald over to River. Looks like top lane tower is going to be the obvious target. And of course, I shouldn't have said anything because Doggo is getting run around in through his jungle now. As the Hex Flash over the wall is going to provide... Oh, no.
No,
oh, he tried to line up the hook and the mouse moved a little too early before he could make it over the wall. Unfortunate little mechanical misstep there for Farfetch, but Doggo's still going to get zoned out and Ferret's still going to get the blue buff, so you know what? Let's call it worth at the end of the day.
You know what? Well, it's a small win, and
Shake it off.
In LPL, we take those, as Munchable says, so, you know, not too bad for the side of the Wildcats, and, you know, I'm really interested to see once we start getting to a place where Mythics come out. Hanabi...
StarScreen a little low, kicks him back there with the Gnar ulti, now transforms back. Hanabi a little low on mana, so I think... follow through too heavily on any sort of trade. And of course, it's, you know, TP battles there, grasp over as Maple. You have to be careful. Every time Maple's Azir is on screen, he has his ulti. You never know when he might be going in, but it's just a 1v1. So going to be A-OK. Just again, happy to farm things out as PSG in no rush to push the issue in these games. Like you said, they feel like they're the better team. They feel like they're the better laners. They're happy to kind of play out the game on even footing, knowing that they'll be better, even if the game is even at 20 minutes.
Especially with the fact that Dragon's coming up in 30 seconds, and PSG have tempo advantage on the map. Their bot and top laners already got their recalls off. We see Hanabi making his way top. He will be able to push out that wave. Same goes for Doggo and Kaiwing in the bottom side. And if you take a look, Doggo already has his Kraken Slayer as well. So I feel like any Dragon fight that would potentially break out in this next 10 seconds should squarely be in favor of PSG.
Yeah, top laners can make it in time. The TPs are just about synced, so they probably TP'd back to lane at the same time. PSG already with control here. River actually going to wander down first. There might be a dive on the cards here.
Ooh, Herald.
Volibear very good at that. Oh yeah, Herald's a good one. Get some gold to Doggo, who's already got that Kraken Slayer, like you said, and is looking to leap ahead in gold with the kill and 2 assists he's already collected. So that is a huge amount of money donated over to the Trist. That's going to be first tower gold over to River and Friends and the Dragon to boot, because again, there is just so much control on this side of the map for PSG Talon.
Can you imagine how good it has to feel to be Doggo in these last 2 games? To where you're a sub coming in, the team is completely setting you up to succeed, getting these plates last game, being set up to pop off on the FLICKR as well from Maple Zoe as well as Kaiwing's Thresh. And it feels like, once again, he's going to be in a good place to succeed in these later team fights. Hanabi, once again, playing the poor man's top laner role, something he knows all too well. I think blue-collar top laner is what Clement Chu would call it, and Raz saying it yesterday as well. And yeah, PSG, like, it's not explosive action. They're just kind of slowly choking out WildCats in terms of like objective and map play.
Yeah, I like weak side specialist. The fun thing for me is that Hanabi is not playing typical weak side champions, which kind of adds a little bit of extra flair. I think Gnar's a pretty good weak side champion, but like Jayce and GP, I guess GP is actually, but Jayce, depending on you know, how the team plays, not always thought of that way. Certainly though, in Hanabi's hands, he's going to be left to his own devices, and with the Eclipse already done, he's feeling pretty good as Doggo. Swap into the top lane, because there are towers to be taken. They already got the bottom side, now time to work on more plates, because if Doggo wants anything this game, it is more gold.
And I like what PSG are doing with this. They're getting control of topside river, so they're going to try to either zone off or threaten any dives onto StarScreen. But I feel like they should be able to pick up that turret relatively for free. We see that they also know what WildCats are doing on the opposite side of the map. So Hanabi kind of hovering in and out of his jungle, trying to take a peek if anyone is there. I feel like for the state of the game right now, both teams are making the right decision, just looking to trade sides of the map.
For sure. PSG happy with the lead they have, but again, just going to be a trade back and forth. They're up, you know, almost 3,000 gold. In fact, going to be over that as Doggo's going to finish off the tower. He's actually going to get all the plates as well. Are you serious? That feels so good for Doggo, man. Just keeps getting funneled gold. Also getting solo XP in this situation, which is like the absolute, like, crispy, efficient maximization for a champion like Tristana, who needs everything they can get as far as scaling goes, including some of those levels for the passive. You can see the gold is massively ahead for Doggo. He's 2k ahead of HolyPhoenix, actually more than that, but HolyPhoenix at least going to get some gold back here as they do finally get the tower down in bottom side, but trouble is brewing here in the 1v3 for StarScreen.
He's about to go Mega though, so I like that it looks like PSG are going to back off. I don't know if they should go for this because he also has Flash available. It feels like it would be way too awkward.
Oh, the Cloud Rift coming in clutch as Doggo zooms out of there. Ferret was ready for chase, but does not happen there. Trist again with Flash and Rocket Jump up, pretty safe champion.
I was going to say Pastry. He was never in harm's way. He knew exactly what he was doing in that situation. And talking about, you know, knowing exactly what you're doing, it's kind of scary to see that all of PSG already have their mythics, you know, barring support, already making their way towards their second items, to where we're finally starting to see mythics come out on the side of WildCats, thank God, but still, it feels like, especially in that top and jungle role, we are lacking a lot of power.
Yeah, two items done for Doggo now as well. It's just been accelerated so much in this game. He's level 10. No, which is also the same level as HolyPhoenix, to be fair, but feeling good for Doggo here, given all the gold he's been funneled. Not even ahead in CS, actually, even between the two ADs, but of course, the kind of bottom lane outplay they got when that gank happened, when that Doggo picked up that kill and those assists. Feeling like it's a pretty good time right now for PSG Talon, especially given their game plan. But they'll be chilling out. I think WildCats are looking to make it happen. Yeah, as expected, Farfetch looking for the hook. Unfortunately, doesn't find it and gets a sad B and a thumbs up in return.
My problem with the state of the game for WildCats right now is I don't really know what kind of play they can look for, right? Because they don't have side pressure. We didn't see Jayce get set super far behind this time around. He will be able to push Gnar in the side lanes. You can group up as a 5-man unit and maybe try to find a hook onto someone, but realistically, again, at this point in the game, with this kind of gold lead, I feel like PSG would just win in the straight-up 5v5, so your choices are pretty much play to the opposite side of the map, try to set up vision, and then maybe try to pull PSG there and find a pick.
I think the plan may become... Oh, actually, fight at this Herald is going to be the plan. I thought it was going to be give HolyPhoenix all the farm and cross fingers, but instead they actually are going to look aggressively here. Farfetch again, no flash, but does have the ulti ready to go. Finds the hook, Maple! Misses the flash from maybe the first time in his life as HolyPhoenix. He's going to get in there, but Doggo's starting to pop off. He gets one kill. Now he needs to line up the rest as the Herald still aggroed in this 4v4. Ulti used for StarScreen as well, so no re-engage really here with all the ultimates down on either side. But WildCats are just going to force them out here, and the teams are going to maybe reset for this objective. as PSG going to back away after the 1-for-1 trade.
Pastry, I didn't know what I was talking about. The plan was right in front of our faces the whole time. Just hook Maple. It's as simple as that. As StarScreen actually going to get chunked out quite a bit by Doggo. We're seeing the power of that 2-item Tristana already, but you know, well played by WildCats. Those are the kinds of picks they need. Again, I didn't theoretically think they should be able to find them in these 5v5 situations, but if you are decisive enough to just flash in like Farfetch did and catch them off guard to where Maple can't react in time, that, you know, it's going to work out for you, and you're potentially going to be able to find an avenue back into equalizing this goal.
Yeah, look, if anything, you know, for Farfetch in the games you've seen today from him, for a young player especially, no one's going to accuse you of not going in, right? I like that Farfetch is looking for the plays. Yes, when you miss it does look a bit silly, but I think they know they have to push the issue in spots that are not nearly as favorable percentage-wise as the plays go, and Doggo is like playing a little bit more like the Doggo I think we were wanting to see. I think PSG maybe, you know, pulling the reins back a little bit there as Doggo was in a 1v3 hitting the tower trying to take down mid. And of course, HolyPhoenix is continuing to getting funneled whatever gold is available on the map. He is just farming up a storm right now.
That's one thing, right, is the HolyPhoenix and Serin win condition will always be there. Like, WildCats' composition actually does have quite a good wombo combo, right? If they can find the Mega Gnar, the Orianna shockwaves there, HolyPhoenix can dish out all the damage. There's definitely tools for them to take team fights, right? Even though on paper it does look like PSG's comp does have more options and more ways to like zone and play out team fights, it's definitely not unwinnable for the side of WildCats, as we're going to see here. Farfetch hits the dredge line because Maple failed a flash, seeing some mechanical errors today. Is going to end up being a 1-for-1 though, as Farfetch, you know, had to get to the thick of things to find that initial pick. Both teams are going to posture in front of each other. I think it does make a bit of sense. Hanabi, of course, having the poke he can throw out. I think the side of WildCats hoping someone overextends from PSG to find another re-engage. None of that happened, and we are back to the mid lane.
And when you think back to the Hex Flash that Farfetch missed over that wall, was all 5-head to make Maple miss the flash there around the Rift Herald pit. I like it. Farfetch thinking many steps into the future here as WildCats still trying to line things up. They are, you know, against a very fast Dragon Soul point as well. It is Cloud Soul, but still a soul nonetheless. The siege right now, though, is happening in mid lane, as that objectively is going to be up in a couple of minutes, so not something to concern yourselves with right now. But it does feel like WildCats is kind of confined to this one little area. PSG really the ones dictating this game right now and feeling very comfortable given the pace they have chosen for this. Doggo, again, just getting out of harm's way, not getting too aggressive. And PSG, when they find the counter engage, will be happy to pull the trigger, because I think at this point they've realized that WildCats are going to be the ones to make the first move.
Yeah, and you can see WildCats are trying to do that right now. They actually have the Rift Herald, so it seems like they were trying to find a way where they can set up a play for that. Also letting StarScreen build up his Rage Bar. It is almost there, but kind of surprising neither team is looking.
Oh, what an angle. Kaiwing over the top. Cleanse though does happen for HolyPhoenix. Flash as well, and that Kaiwing just going to get killed as the WildCats are going to turn that around very quickly. Doggo is going to be forced to flash from the hook that was on point this time for Farfetch. And of course, as we say it, it is WildCats that find the pick and look to push down mid.
I mean, what an angle coming out from Kaiwing, but at the same time, goes down, kind of ran it a bit, but still he did get summoners out from HolyPhoenix, so you now have a window where you can punish, but WildCats get a pick. They get mid lane turret. They're going to be able to recall and get back on the map faster, have tempo advantage, start setting up vision around the next Drake. Like, this was just a really nice sequence of events by WildCats to punish the side of PSG.
Yeah, you know, engage supports, you know, typically all-in, right? Sometimes I think they're even referred to as all-in supports. I would say Leona is the most all-in of all of the engaged supports, and Kaiwing demonstrating the flip side of that play there, finding, again, a great-looking pick, but as soon as HolyPhoenix got away, Leona is now in the middle of the enemy team with your team not being able to chase after you. So instead, it's going to be blue buff over to Serin, who is quietly farming things up, has kept the farm very even up against Maple, who again is also scaling, so there is going to be some similarities there as far as what they can do in the mid to late game, but the way they do it, of course, is different. Doggo, though, just again, finding gold everywhere on this map, is, despite not having the flash, going to have the team behind him and happily take the final outer tower off of WildCats' Rift.
I also love how we're once again defaulting to a battle of AD carries, right? HolyPhoenix is the one getting all the gold on their side. Doggo got set up on the side of PSG. And sure, there's room for other players to step up. We've already talked about Hanabi. We've talked about Maple. I like that Serin as well. He went for the Loon Zeko, so showing he's going for a lot more of bursting out these squishy carries from the side of PSG. As PSG, for some reason, hitting Baron.
Whoops. Not bad, actually. I thought Farfetch maybe was going to get caught in a very unfortunate timing. But PSG at least, making him think about it. They've got a massive amount of Baron damage for what it's worth, and they've got the front line to make it happen as well. So WildCats do have to respect the potential of a very quick Baron take. But for now, they'll just clear out that vision and keep things nice and smooth, as Cloud Soul is going to be up in 40 seconds.
And we're finally seeing PSG default Hanabi back to a side lane. It's been something we've been asking ourselves the past few minutes, like, hey, oh, you're right, Farfetch.
No Hex Slash needed, going to go straight in there. Oh, flashes straight in for it. Wants the jungler, actually. So River going to be the target, a harder one to get, but I think they want to Baron after it. Instead, though, Doggo is just going to blow up poor Farfetch, and now PSG are going to turn to play on its head. Kaiwing is looking for the flash, seeing the blade doesn't quite connect, but I like the enthusiasm, and it's Maple, of course, going straight in, swoops in on the Azir, push them back with the Emperor's Divide, and Doggo's getting locked up, and he will get killed by HolyPhoenix as StarScreen is bleeding from the engagement that has just transpired. Now goes back into Hyper and hops out with the extra speed as Hanabi does pick the wrong way for the angle as far as poke goes. But PSG, despite losing Doggo and Maple, still going to be happy.
Yeah, they're going to be able to pick up this soul. And honestly, Pastry, really big fan of that fight. I like what Farfetch was trying to do. It was creative. They realized, hey, Dragon's about to come up. We need to find a pick. Kind of a bit unfortunate it wasn't on, one of the squishy carries that you could have instantly bursted, but we got a ton of flavor in that fight. We got to see Maple playing that aggressive Azir style. And now, they have soul, but they aren't too far ahead in terms of gold. And we've seen that every team fight, they're trading kills back and forth. So still very much anyone's game. And I'd say, again, the creative plays like this for me are what's really keeping it competitive for the Wildcats. Again, a bit unfortunate that they aren't able to find Maple on the Azir. They do get a lot of damage onto River, but it's not enough. Doggo having the damage to take down Farfetch in return. And we said it, Maple plays a lot of control mages like Assassins. He does end up going down, but it sets up for the resets to come out from Doggo. It sets up for PSG to be able to keep pushing forward and find these kills.
Yeah, both teams, I think, calling worth there. The new Axe Effect replay. Maple looking real good despite having to sacrifice himself. But both ADs getting quite a lot out of that. HolyPhoenix continuing to find kills, continuing to grab gold. In fact, he's got 3 items finished now, which was a struggle given all the early gold Doggo got when he had 2 items what felt like forever up against HolyPhoenix. That was farming for his life, trying to pick up his own Phantom Dance, which of course he now has on top of the LDR. So does feel like the playing field has evened quite a bit. Obviously, this Soul will be a permanent advantage for PSG Talon. There's going to be an Elder Dragon now alongside the Baron. We haven't even had a first Baron in this game yet, and both teams feeling pretty comfy on the Baron DPS front. So pretty delicately balanced, I have to say, especially with how the team fights have been going with all those trades.
And now we're going to see both teams having to default to playing as a 5-man core. Hanabi doesn't have TP, so if he does decide to go bot side, Wildcats are just going to start up that Baron. I think the good thing for PSG in this situation, if Wildcats did get, a little bit feisty and wanted to start that one up, being that they're on red side and, Baron being right over that wall, they do have a lot of poke and siege to where they can try to chunk them out before looking for that engage. Sadly, that has not happened yet. PSG are going to be able to control vision, and it feels like maybe we're just going to be waiting for Farfetch to look for another big one.
Look, I don't know if Wildcats are necessarily feeling like they want to get aggressive, but let me tell you, Mathematician Farfetch, he's finding angles all over the place. There is not a flank or an engage that he has disliked so far in this game. And again, I love to see it from the young player, just getting in there in a game that really is probably going to determine your tournament life. And now he's on the front side, a little too far forward. It's Kaiwing that's going to find the follow-up CC, and Maple is going to shut down another flank attempt. Oh my goodness, that buster shot was nutty from Doggo, as he's going to shut down StarScreen to put a cherry on top of it. And now PSG running straight to Baron in the 5v3.
Earlier we said, right, it's about controlling range, controlling distance, zone control. And that's what we saw in that fight, is that PSG didn't have to commit to anything to put all their damage down, and that resulted in 2 kills going over to them. They do pick up Baron. Wildcats should be able to get this turret in return. Actually going to back off, I think, is a bit surprising. Looks like they want to take away some jungle camps potentially with HolyPhoenix making his way down, but still, I do feel like Wildcats have made some good responses. That last one was a bit unfortunate, like you said, geometry teacher Farfetch just getting caught out a bit too far forward.
Yeah, again, trying to hang out, but the controller here can't really hit it because he knows he's absolutely dead, and unfortunately for him, he's still dead anyway.
Yeah, and then the fight keeps going, and really great buster shot about to come out from Doggo, and like I said, Hanabi,
Caught out on the side lane. This is a good time for HolyPhoenix. It's a shutdown for Serin. Those are the kind of picks you want to be making, especially against the Baron Dart team. You want to be shutting that Red Bull Baron power play down as best you can. Oh, hello. HolyPhoenix got caught by River. Now going to have to flash out of the way. Doggo not there with the follow-up as the team reinforces. And oh my goodness, StarScreen is getting in there, and that damage looks a little too filthy. Maple, they're going to push it back. As HolyPhoenix is on a rampage, but Doggo, he's taking out StarScreen. Shockwave is going to catch Maple, but Doggo, he's ready for the resets, baby. Grabs himself a double kill, hopping in for 3 and 4 as Kaiwing with the max range Zenith Blade is going to let Doggo shut down Serin. Please kill that man. Kaiwing, you've set it up so well. Give it to Doggo. You know he wants the gold. Maple will do. That's just fine. He's going to grab kill number 2.
Yep, 3 kills on the side of PSG. They should be able to push through the spot lane. Should be able to at least get this turn. I'm not sure if they'll be able to get inhibitors, but the thing I loved about what we just saw was how big of a flank Kaiwing made. Pretty much got to the fight by the time it was over, but still his 2 main carries were alive, so they were able to keep going. And WildCats able to get a turret in the mid lane. You know, I just got to stop and highlight that real quick, right? Is that we've been seeing such great mid-game macro coming out from WildCats in response. As we go into the replay, Hanabi goes down, was a bit too far forward. WildCats doing a nice job at making this pick. And then we're going to see that River potentially finding HolyPhoenix. They are dissuaded by that TP that does come out from the Gnar. StarScreen actually jumping in is extremely low. Instantly gets taken down, and Kaiwing, again flanking from across the map, finally gets here. Both Doggo and Maple are alive, so they are able to keep going forward, and they were able to pick up 3 of those kills in the end.
All right, we got to talk about Doggo, because people have been asking, you know, he's the sub player for this team, not their intended AD carry, known for his aggression, known for those mechanics, and hasn't been able to put as much aggression on display, although I think this game is maybe a bit of a difference there. This man's hands are so good, though. He flashed that Gnar ulti. I just caught it in the replay there. Like, instantly flashed it. And after that buster shot we just saw, I love that Doggo is, I think, showing up a lot more in this game. He was given kind of the keys to the VIP, you know, ready to take over this game with the early gold he got funnel, and he is making it work here.
And I think a big thing for him, again, is the comfort he's getting from PSG as a team. Doggo was the second best AD carry in the PCS. Kino, his support is very similar to Kaiwing in terms of play style. But I need to stop talking about Doggo
Elder Dragon.
Keep our eyes on him.
Alrighty, Elder Dragon DPS also good here on the Trist side, but WildCats are here ready to go. It's Kaiwing once again looking for the angle, trying to outmath Farfetch here as, oh, that Zenith Blade, he hasn't gone in yet, flashing in over the top. Looking for Serin here is going to be the one they lock down as River is going to take down Farfetch, but Olaf got the Dragon! This could be bad news on the other side, but PSG may be too far ahead already to take it out Doggo, but Maple's going to get himself killed by HolyPhoenix. HolyPhoenix gets a triple, but he gets shut down, and PSG Talon, it's a messy one, but they're going to come out alive.
Yeah, they're going to come out ahead. It was a 3 for 4 in the end, but still, Serin's going to have that Elder Dragon buff on him if another fight breaks out once the rest of the members of the WildCats are up. That feels like it's going to be massive, but still, we are seeing what I would say is the slight scaling advantage of PSG's comp. They do have a tankier front line in their 2 tanks. They have all that Jayce damage coming out as well, but...
Do it, Doggo, you won't.
I don't think he should.
Okay, he won't.
You're getting a bit too crazy.
All right, well, ulti's only halfway cooldown for Serin, so there was potentially opportunities, but I agree with the Elder Dragon buff and also a stopwatch that Serin has. Probably unlikely. All right, let's watch this one again. This was a wild trade of back and forth support CC here.
And it looked like PSG were handedly winning out until we see Ferret get the Elder. I want to keep my eyes on that because, again, members going down across, and he's just able to smite it. We don't see smite come out from River. He is going to go down to River on the opposite end of the fight. We're going to see the members of WildCats start kiting up, and just really nice stopwatch coming out from HolyPhoenix to take down Maple. And again, kills across the board, but still, the fact that Serin has that Elder Drake buff and the fact that PSG don't have it, more importantly, feels like the big thing here.
I love to see the celebration there from the WildCats side. You can see HolyPhoenix leaning back in the chair. He's like, that could have been the rest of that kill. That could have been the ace that maybe got us back in this game. Unfortunately, goes down at the end of the play. It is just Serin that survives with the buff, as you mentioned. Still has it, by the way, for 50 more seconds. So with the Shockwave back up, it could be a real spicy Shockwave coming out for WildCats. And PSG going to have to be respectful, despite the fact that they're up, 5,000 gold. They've got the Dragon Soul. I don't want to be walking into this level 16 Orianna Elder Dragon empowered ultimate.
No, you definitely do not. So PSG definitely going to respect on this one. They're going to start to send Maple to answer that top wave. Looks like he's being a bit cautious, not walking too far from mid because they know what WildCats are looking to do. They're looking for the fight. We have tons of items built on both sides. Hanabi trying to throw out the poke. He does have the Serpent's Fang now to deal with some of the shields coming out from Serin. But I think PSG have been a team that's shown they're willing to be patient enough to not look for something too much in this situation.
Especially today. PSG Talon have really felt very measured in how they're approaching these games. Very clinical, very decisive. But, you know, taking their time, kind of letting their opponents play into them in some ways, which I think against this team actually has played out quite well. This Baron is real nice, though. This is going to get shredded here. And PSG, oh, they did not on it. Oh, they're going back in instead. Farfetch, oh, I love the play. Unfortunately, can't find the hook. It was only River that he was really in front of him. But again, they're going to go once more, perhaps as the ward does get, or brush does get watered, excuse me, by Kaiwing, as Farfetch is still throwing out anchors.
I mean, I love Farfetch's confidence.
Solar Flare hits one, but only a slow. Followed through here as StarScreen transforms. Can maybe now look for the re-engage. Getting a little awkward. There's a hook from Farfetch, but the damage might be a little too much. Doggo's going to be forced to patch away from the Nautilus ulti, and HolyPhoenix is going to be the player to watch a shockwave. Finds two. HolyPhoenix looking for two, but he can't quite get in there. StarScreen going to kick Hanabi away with the ultimate, but now Farfetch re-engages. River is going to be the target, but they can't go get it, and Doggo, he's absolutely popping off. Maple's got two. Doggo's going unstoppable. It's going to be the ace for PSG Talon, as HolyPhoenix the only one left, but not for long.
And this game might just end out of nowhere, Pastry. I thought that Serin found the ultimate he needed, but PSG just gonna push through mid lane and target the base of WildCats.
Doggo 10-1 and 10, looking to shove down mid with the rest of his team. 15 seconds until Ferret is up. Same on Farfetch alongside him, but PSG, they're going to go for the dub here, looking for win number 4. So close now to making it to the Rumble stage as PSG Town are going to take out WildCats.
And it's great to see from the side of PSG. Actually going to be the first team to get 4 wins in this group, which, again, we thought it would have been primed to be Mad Lions at the start of the day, but nice to see PSG recollect themselves, come in with a strong day. Again, I think they've shown a lot more patience this time around. We've still seen the same strengths that they have been showing us, but the one big difference today is that, hey, they've been fine trying to enable and set up Doggo to be comfortable on stage and be comfortable as a sub in this team.
Yep, take a bow. Again, feeling good. Again, a little different from the aggression they've shown, but I like that they're mixing up the styles, willing to mix up the speed of the games that they are playing. I think you don't want to just be like one note and super aggressive all the time. I guess maybe RNG has proven us a bit wrong in that regard, but PSG Talon, no. I mean, it's so important to them that they make it through, that they have, you know, the opportunity to play in the next stage of the tournament. So not rushing things, not taking things lightly, despite, you know, feeling favored likely against their opponents. And the fight that WildCats put up was looking good. Unfortunately for them, I don't know how much easier it's going to be for them to move on from this point. But
I mean, now they can't hit 3, right? They can't even. They can't meet Mad Lions.
Math checks out.
Yeah, for WildCats, it seems like the journey is done. Sadly.
All right. Well, with that game in the books, we are going to check out the Mercedes drive to victory and take a look at some of the moments from that game because there were some fun ones. PSG's 23-minute fight, excuse me, before that 4th break was a banger.
Yeah, and I mean, Pastry, there were so many fights in this game, but this one was the one that stood out. We see the Solar Flare coming out from Kaiwing. They're going to keep running forward. Sadly, StarScream's already too low to where even if he hits that Mega Gnar, it actually really doesn't do anything. And PSG have the distance they need, but hey, it doesn't matter if you have poke, doesn't matter if you can control distance because you know Maple's always going to be the one to look to go in. He does find a trade, but it does set up for Doggo to find those resets and for Hanabi and the rest of the squad to keep going forward.
I was sad that we only had one Maple moment that game, but at least there was one as they are going to move forward. Maple looking very crisp on both his Zoe and his Azir. Our next game, though, is Mad Lions versus Pain Gaming, and the last time they met, we saw one of the most dramatic finishes in MSI history. Let's take a look back in Sounds of the Game, presented by both.
Guys, we need to go to mid.
Just go mid, go mid. But top wave, they will end the game. Reset, I mean, I think.
You have to reset.
Just someone reset with TP.
Reset.
I can.
I one-shot the wave, I one-shot.
Yeah, okay. They will take that, I'm gonna look, Camille. Take it, Affilius.
I will clear it, I think I will
Guys.
clear it. Actually, maybe not. They're coming, they're all coming.
I'm tipping, Marek.
I will stop them, you guys recall.
I think. No, reset.
I can reset,
Okay, it's fine.
I'm resetting, I'm coming. Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, just go. Jinx.
Oh. Wait, she's dead?
Zoe.
I'm going from it.
Oh my.
I'm going from it.
Okay. Oh my god.
God, by the way.
What a disgusting game! Holy moly.
Oh my god, man. It was really disgusting. Thank you.
Dear me, I just wanted to tell you that soon, everything you know will change. You're part of the breakout, part of an elite group of individuals that launched a global movement. The pioneers that changed the sole definition of a gamer. I'm you, from the future. And I just wanted to tell you that your future will be legendary. Exceed the game, unleash the future.
Hey, I didn't order any pizza.
Jake from State Farm. After you saved me so much dough on insurance with that Parker promo, I devised a promo for you.
Here's the deal, Parker. State Farm offers everyone surprisingly great rates.
Yeah, right. Pepperoni pockets, an atomic brownie, cuckoo crusty.
There's no promo, it's just great rates.
And a cider ranch. You're the man.
When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome back to MSI. PSG Talon reached the Rumble stage and Hanabi is with me to talk about this amazing victory. Thank you so much for joining me. You reached the next stage, you're going to play in the Rumble stage. Any first thoughts about the qualification and what are you looking forward to now?
现在是成功进入到对抗赛的阶段嘛，所以现在感觉怎么样呢？
就刚打完2场就有点兴奋吧，就赢了嘛。但同时也想了自己的失误，就有点可惜，因为失误有点多。
是刚刚那场比赛的表现是吗？
这2场比赛的表现。
I'm very excited for our qualification, but still I had several mistakes during the game that we have. So it was a little bit regretful.
Oh, any more that you could tell me about those mistakes, and what are you looking for to fix for the next games?
可以稍微跟我们讲一下你自己觉得的一个失误吗？然后打算怎么去提高？
我觉得我在线上就其实压制还不错，但是就被抓死的都有点蠢吧。
就是被 gank 都有点多是吧？
对，被抓很蠢。
So I think my mistakes mostly happened during the laning phase. I think I had a great performance in zoning the lanes, but I died too much for the enemy skanked a lot, so that's why I think I made so many mistakes during the laning phase.
All right, well, good to know. But when you think about it, you also had to adjust to a new team dynamic because, like the World Championship last year, you had to bring in a new player on the bot lane. Did it change the team dynamic, and what did you have to adjust with the Doggo on bot lane?
其实跟去年的世界赛稍微有一点点相似嘛，因为今年的 MSI 你们也是有一位新的 AD 选手的这样的一个配合和加入，所以说现在整个队伍的这样的一个调整，包括说之间的一个配合是怎么样的呢？
就其实主要是小柴选表现就操作很好，然后融入我们队伍的话，其实就找 carry 就好了，其实我觉得没问题。就融入我们的队伍
融入队伍好。I think Doggo, he is a player that have very good mechanics. So as long as we can synergize really good with him, then it's all good for us.
All right, well, good to know. Now you have one game left to play. It's going to be against the Mad Lions at the end of the day. They won the last time around. Anything you should be careful about when it comes to the Mad Lions and how to take them down?
因为你们还有一场比赛是跟 Mad Lions 的再相遇嘛，那上一次是他们赢了，所以对于下一场比赛的话，你觉得你们需要注意什么呢？
我觉得我们打他们只要放松的去打，我觉得我们是能赢过他们的，就不要犯太过分的失误的话。
So if we play with them at an ease mindset, then it's very possible for us to take a game off them. Just don't be too nervous and reduce our mistakes.
All right, keep calm and follow your game. We'll see that at the end of the day, but for now, Hanabi, thank you so much for the interview. Congrats on reaching the next stage. Iris, thank you so much for the translation, as always. And we're going to take a break now, and we'll be back in a couple minutes for Mad Lions versus Spain Gaming. Stay tuned.
Gaming get lost. They go to the demo. Mad Lions live to fight another day.
And the inhibitor respawned.
Mad Lions go undefeated in the first round robin.
It feels like we're just going to see a better and better Pain.
Everyone dodges the rocket. 1500, 1200.
Red team stole the Baron.
It's stolen. 10 owns. 10 owns gets Baron.
I have nothing but respect for Pain, and they just go to show that they can still tangle with the best.